I'm here with Morgan Johnston of JetBlue. So Morgan, you just got off a panel. Which panel was that? And can you tell us what you do at JetBlue?
Sure. I was sitting in a panel with talking about does social media matter into marketing, and I've worked with JetBlue's corporate communications team, handling a lot of our social media strategy.
And so, how long have you been doing this? How long has JetBlue had a social media strategy?
I started with JetBlue's corporate communications team in 2007, and we'd already kind of dabbled in the field, where such a vibrant community of fans who use Flickr to post pictures back and forth. We've got people who, are very active in a lot of forums, airliners.net or Flyer Talk. And so a lot of the impetus was really how do we kind of bring these people together and pull together some sort of coherent view of how to approach it and how to make sure that the resources are available to our customers.
So do you have so speaking of which, if you take a step back, do you have a goal for social media? I think you talked about in your top 4 things that you use.
Yeah, I think there's a great deal. It's monitoring, it's engaging, it's informing, and it's humanizing. And the idea is, particularly now with the advent of a lot of this real-time social media activity, a lot of the Twitters or the microblogs, and people be able to post Flickr photos from their phones. The importance of being able to watch what's going on within our organization on a minute-to-minute basis, in many cases, is really important. We're using social media as really a canary in a coal mine, and really as a way of keeping an eye and making sure that we can immediately address situations that are occurring within the system.
So that's an interesting thing, as you talked about in this idea of the canary in the coal mine. How do you see what is going to become a conflagration and what's just going to be the lunatic fringe making some hey blah blah blah? How do you know whom to take seriously and who to just sort of just say something nice back to and
Well, I think it's a learning process within social media in general. There's any number of situations that we've seen as a community occur where news is disseminated through social media that is either, really a great forewarning of a larger news story, or conversely, there's always going to be situations where you're seeing erroneous information going out there, and so a lot of it really does come back to confirmation. But and I think that confirmation needs to come, and you need to vet whatever you hear before you react to it through as many different sources as you can. I think there's a great deal of importance in that, and that can sometimes be handled through social media. More often than not, for the way I would tend to use it, and my organization tends to use it, that confirmation really needs to come through a lot of our own official internal communications. But there's certainly a great deal of utility in seeing themes arise and saying, all right, something's going on, we need to address it. And it may be something as small as, there's a small delay at an airport in New York. Or is it something larger, some larger event that, we need to mobilize a large-scale team to work on a project or some event that's occurred.
can you give an example of something recently that was a good canary in the coal mine that you did see that turned out to be something that you were able to nip in the bud or to react to right
Sure.
off the bat?
I think a good case example that I've used a couple of times, and this isn't quite recent. It was this past January, January of '09. There's a vibrant bike community in Portland, Oregon, and there was a couple of people who were talking through websites, through Twitter, about a bike policy that we had. We charged $50 for someone to check a folding bike. We charged $50 for someone to check a bike.
Right.
And customers traveling with a folding bike, and this folding bike fit inside a standard, standard check bag, and he was kind of upset by that, and it didn't make any sense to him. And frankly, when I saw it, it didn't make any sense to me either. And to anyone within my organization, the policy just wasn't clear. And so as our crew members were working the policy and going through this, someone decided, well, it's a bike, we need to charge $50, and it might not have seemed the right thing to do, but they were going by what they'd been told.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to see that occur through using social media and doing that constant monitoring. And I saw this community kind of build up around that, starting to build, and people were giving this person suggestions of how to get around it. And I guess it's a common occurrence for a lot of other airlines that this is a policy that's kind of overlooked. And so people were saying, oh, you're supposed to tell the gate agent or tell the counter agent that you're checking bike parts and they won't charge you for it. Or tell them that it's artwork and they won't charge you for it. And it was like, why are we trying to like figure ways around it when it's so much easier to start the communication, the collaboration. And so I saw this, I reached out to the person and I said, hey, this seems wonky, I'm going to take a look at this. And I was able to, talk to our customer service team, our airports team, clarify our policy so that if it looks like a check bag and weighs like a check bag, it's a check bag.
Mm-hmm.
And was able to communicate that back to those customers all within 24 hours. Because, I'm proud to say we've got a culture and a company that's very easily to that kind of quick adaptation. And we were able to kind of get ahead of that story before it built into a larger issue, before it potentially turned into a larger, PR issue.